Evatima Tardo, young, dark-haired, hauntingly beautiful, pain-proof, snakebite-proof, but not bulletproof. At a typical show in 1898, Evatima tested the strength of a large cross on the stage, nonchalant and humming a little tune. She was, as usual, wearing a long black coat over a low-cut black silk dress. Doctors and journalists flocked to her demonstrations to get a look at her, she who the New York Times called the strangest woman in the world. She claimed to have no sense of touch at all, but that will only get you so far when venomous snakes are biting you. She also claimed to be able to stop her own circulation and dislocate her own neck without ill effect. At this show, or séance as she called her performances, she first thrust her hands into a low box and emerged with 4 rattlesnakes. One sunk its teeth into her bare arm, followed by the others. Next, she drew out a cobra, which also bit her, as the audience, doctors and laymen alike, gasped. Evatima merely smiled again. There was no blood from her wounds, only tiny blue puncture marks. One doctor said those bites should have killed 20 men, but Evatima was quite alive. Returning the snakes to their boxes, she raised a hand and directed one medical man to hammer an iron spike into her left hand a few inches below the fingers, and another into her right foot. There she would hang for an hour, asking the doctors to plunge needles through her tongue and her bicep. Then she invited spectators to come on stage and touch the wounds. She would give her demonstrations in doctors' offices, Masonic halls, and dime museums.
I rather enjoy being crucified,
she once said.
It amuses me to see the horror-stricken countenance of my auditors. There are upwards of 10 faints to each séance, but they never fail to return again to see me.
At 5 years old, Evatima had been bitten by a large cobra. She slept for 30 hours and awoke as good as new. Since then, she'd been bitten by every kind of poisonous reptile she could name and had suffered no ill effect.
I never had a pain in my life,
she told one Chicago newspaper.
I don't know what an ache is. I am always happy, never sad.
By the autumn of 1897, she had become a press darling. At Cole and Middleton's Dime Museum in Chicago, she also met Harry Houdini, not yet very famous, who was also performing there. Houdini was always interested in figuring out how other performers did their tricks, and always alert for frauds. Houdini stated, there was absolutely no fake attached to her startling performance. Houdini believed that the secret to her powers lay in dairy products. After years of investigation, I have come to the belief that this immunity was the result of an absolutely empty stomach, into which a large quantity of milk was taken shortly after the wound was inflicted, he wrote. Doctors had other explanations. Some thought she used a combination of anesthetic and willpower, but cited no anesthetic on earth that might be strong enough. Others thought she somehow hypnotized herself. Finally, Dr. William Burns, who examined her in Minneapolis, concluded, Miss Tardo is certainly what she claims to be, a woman without the sense of feeling. I attribute her present anomalous condition to the cobra bite she received when a little girl. That bite paralyzed the sensory nerves and inoculated her system with the poison. He deduced that the cobra probably had only a little poison in its system, enough to paralyze but not kill, and the small dose induced an immunity to venom. Boys and girls, don't try this at home. Evatima could only say that she was born with the condition, but after all this speculation, beautiful and witty Evatima attracted many male admirers. One afternoon in 1905, she was drinking at the Arkansas Club, a saloon where she lived with the proprietor Hal Williamson. Railroad Special Agent Thomas McCall had fallen for Evatima, but a fortune-teller had told him that another man stood in his way. Enraged and drunk, McCall stormed into the saloon, shot both Williamson and Evatima dead, then fled, and 5 hours later killed himself. Evatima Tardo was one of the most fascinating performers of the 19th century. Whatever the explanation was for her talents, Evatima's performances have never been duplicated.